People that don't have duality will accuse you of being inauthentic. Let's get into it. Something that I've observed over the years is that a lot of people don't have depth or substance. And when you're a person with depth, a lot of people will not be able to understand you or conceptualize the things that you talk about or the way that you move. And this is why it's important that you don't internalize other people's perceptions of you. If a person can only think one way, and they've been thinking this way for years, and you come around and you challenge all of these stereotypes and ideas that they had about people, it's going to make them uncomfortable. People like to reject the things that they can't understand. And furthermore, because they don't want to challenge the way that they've been thinking, they will accuse you of being inauthentic. I know I'm a person who has duality, and so people will think they know you, but in all reality, they don't, because they don't understand the complexities of who you are. I spoke about Beyonce in my last video, and when you look at how each album that she drops is a different era, and every few years she comes with a different style, a different vibe. As a creative, a lot of people can't understand that. That can make people uncomfortable because they don't really know who you are. And so the only thing that they can do is accuse you of being inauthentic or say that you don't know who you are, when in all reality, they simply cannot understand who you are. I'm going to use code switching as an example, and I have a think piece about how code switching is a sign of high intelligence. Something that my mother wanted from me as a child was for me to have the ability to be able to maneuver in different scenarios and get along with all races. There are some people who have a work personality and a home personality. Someone could say that they're being fake, but no, they just know how to maneuver in different environments. I had an encounter yesterday that inspired me to make this video. I have a friend, and she accused me of trying to be like her. This person knows me from middle school, and I'm a completely different person now. The person knows me from middle school, and she secretly watches my videos, by the way. She thinks I'm unaware. But besides that, I'm a person who knows how to maneuver in professional environments. So I may not show all sides of myself to social media or to people that I know in real life. Talking to this person, I had just left the country, and I've been wearing hair, makeup, lashes, wigs, all of that. When I left the country, I was more on my natural vibe. So I had locks. I was wearing minimal to no makeup. I was just on a different vibe. It was giving me bohemian. It was giving me natural black woman. And let's say I decide to express myself in a different manner, whether that be with the way I speak or the way that I do my hair, the way that I look, the way that I pose. This person thinks that I'm trying to be like them, when in all reality, I've been doing this. Even in school, I would operate in a more professional manner. Hi, how are you? I'm doing well, thank you, blase, blase, blah. And I speak to my friends a completely different way. And so people will think they know you because they've only seen one side of you, when in all reality, you've been doing this and you have duality. You are multifaceted. I'm going to insert some videos from a few years ago so you guys can see the difference between me then and now. Like, I recently started my locks and I'm more on a natural vibe. Later, I might turn into a Barbie again. Who knows? That's the beauty of having duality. When you think about a person like Rihanna, she came with this girl next door from the Caribbean vibe, and then she started her rated R era. That they're looking at a person who maneuvers in that manner in real life, they think the person doesn't know who they are, they're being fake, when in all reality, they're all of these things at once. But I digress, let's roll the clips. I was giving very much, but if a person meets me right now, they're going to accuse me of, oh, that's not who you are. There are people out here who will say, that's not your look, that's not your vibe, when you can do all of these things. We've seen it with celebrities time and time again. When you think about your favorite music artist, for example, you watch them go through all of these phases, and that's what really makes you fall in love with the person. And even for the people that have haters, such as Chloe Bailey, you'll notice that people will try to say, oh, that's what she should be doing. That's what she should be wearing. That's what she should be seeing. Like, and this is the kind of music she should be making. And they're trying to suck the creative life out of you. But in all reality, these are people that don't have the courage to do what you do and put yourself out there and grow in front of an audience. I made a video about this in the past, and I spoke about how I said things in the past that I don't necessarily agree with now. And that's the beauty of being a human being. Now, there's this whole thing about cringe culture that people have been talking about as well. So I feel like I grew up in the era when, like, teenagers weren't teenagers anymore. I feel like I was on that transition Teenagers used to be cringe. Teenagers used to dress a certain way. Teenagers used to be ugly. And now you have these teenagers walking around looking like straight baddies. And I was one of them around 17, 18 years old. But being able to be yourself and express yourself is the whole point. And so we're trying to trick people out of this and say they need to be doing this, they need to be wearing this, they need to be dressing like this, when in all reality, this is what we're supposed to be doing as human beings, being ourselves. But to watch someone grow in real time is extremely fascinating. And that's why, whether people agree with what you're saying or not, whether they like it or not, they can't keep their eyes off of you. And that's the funniest part about it. Now, a lot of people feel like I've had people say, oh, you look best at this size and this is what you should be wearing. And I love when you see what I mean? But in all reality, I'm in control of this. Like, I am the puppet master of my creative journey. I had a conversation with someone about being a creator versus a consumer. And I think that I'm realizing that, I'm on the creative side of things, not saying that I don't consume at all. But people are consuming you when you are the content creator, when you are the person putting yourself out there. And so they will try to be heavily opinionated. Like, I never felt like it was my place to say, Beyonce should wear this hair color. It looks so much better on her. And I always thought it was weird that people had these parasocial relationships with people, but I'm realizing that people have parasocial relationships with me. And that is it's just a very otherworldly experience too. And you have to be okay with people perceiving you however they perceive you. That's exactly what I told her. I did ask her permission to speak about this on social media. People really want their opinions to reign supreme over your life. And there are a lot of videos about how people try to gain control over your life and the different things that they do. And when you're a person who is dynamic or who is creative or who is courageous enough to put yourself out there, you are going to have a bunch of people who want to be your quote unquote handler. I had a lot of them growing up. I grew up around hypercritical people who tried to beat me down and trick me out of my metaphorical spot. But the gag is, like, no matter what you feel about Chloe Bailey or whoever, whatever celebrity, there's this thing where they can't stop watching. They want to say these things about you, but they still want to be around you. They want to say this, they want to say that, but they still want to consume. And I'm not a hater, so it doesn't make sense to me. And I don't think that I'm meant to understand everything. And being an analytical person will make you try to understand everything, which is a lot of what I do on my page. But you can't. It's just not possible. Every single person walking this earth has their own perspectives, their own views on things. And there is nothing that I can do, number one, to please everyone. But number two, you will have people out here thinking they know you. You will have people out here trying to put you in a box. And it's just a part of being a creative person. Like, I really don't know what else to say about that. But hey, I digress. But I do want to continue. So basically, I saw a high school teacher, I think he was on CNN or something, and he was discussing this cringe culture thing and how the new high school students are afraid to be cringe. We used to do talent shows and, everyone is afraid to put themselves out there because they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to be perceived the way that they view other people. I never looked at Chloe Bailey and thought, she's trying to be sexy. She's trying to do this. She's trying to do that. I remember her being on live crying about how, people are saying that I'm trying too hard, but this is who I am. Like, if you follow me on my spam page, and low key, I'm dealing with the same thing right now. I'm not crying. I just think it's a very interesting phenomenon. But I do think that people need to stop doing what they're doing. Like, they need to stop trying to control other people that they don't know or think they know. Or, I'm not going to look at someone and say, you look better at that way. You look better at that size. But I learned these things through therapy that, like, none of this matters. But that's another thing that people can't really grasp. So there are some people, like, I know a woman in my family who feels like women's titties need to be up to their neck and they need to always wear a push-up bra. I don't necessarily agree. I believe in people, having their natural bodies and embracing their bodies and their stretch marks. But I also understand that this person grew up in a different time. I also understand that the person, the way that they grew up, shapes the way that they view how women should be. I understand that I don't necessarily conform to those norms. And when you don't conform to these norms, people try to make you conform to what they know. But the reason why people enjoy watching you is because you don't do that. So if you were to listen to everyone's perspective or perception of you, they would quite literally trick you out of your spot. And that's when we can segue the conversation into destiny swapping. But I will save that for another video. It's like I'm not on a mission to find my signature style, my signature look. I know that these things may change. And this is another reason why it's crucial that you do not internalize people's perspectives of you. Some people may not have enough depth to conceptualize you as a person. So I know that some of the concepts that I speak about may be hard to grasp for some people. I don't necessarily know how people perceive me. And I think a lot of people think they know me when they don't. A lot of content creators talk about this. When I was younger, I could hang out with a group of people and start rapping 3 Problems bar for bar. And they're like, I remember one time K Stylist started playing and I did what needed to be done. I did my thing. And it was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that Nala was like this. I didn't know that she could twerk. I didn't know. And I'm like, what do you think of me? Because you don't know me. Or like if I went to a party or something, which I rarely do, which I rarely did, but it would be like, oh my gosh, she's lit. I didn't know she was like this. It's like you're only seeing the professional side of me. You don't really know me. I think that people really do themselves a disservice when they put people in a box, when they don't really know all sides. But furthermore, a lot of people genuinely cannot conceptualize the ideas and the things that make you you. I used to run into issues where I wasn't fitting in, and I would have like older people in my life. My school counselor, for example, I was a freshman. She would say, you should try talking to the seniors. Everyone has not developed the ability to critically think. And this whole thing ties into the anti-intellectualism movement and the fact that people really don't want to critically think. They don't want to understand new ideas. They don't want to learn things. They don't want to learn facts. They don't believe in science anymore. This is a real thing, and I see it show up in my life every day. But when you're quote unquote woke, a lot of people won't be able to grasp what you're saying. I really had to understand, like, if I'm having a conversation about beauty standards and I say that I'm not the beauty standard somewhere, and then someone says, you're not ugly, you're beautiful, when it's like, you don't even know what I'm talking about. And I try not to let it get me upset, but at the same time, it's important that you understand what's really going on. Like, it's not a you thing. Some people genuinely don't have enough depth to understand that people are not a monolith. Someone could look at my page right now and say that I talk like a white girl. I've had people say that I was ghetto. It all depends. You'll go through this thing of people trying to figure you out, and they cannot figure you out because you're too complex. Try to get people to understand this concept. Like, you cannot know someone for a few months and think you know them. Maybe even a few years. You're always going to find something new. And if you're a person who has depth, there will always be something new because you are constantly changing. You are constantly growing. Also have these situations where you've known people from years ago. Let's say you reconnect and you've grown so much. You've gone to therapy. You've healed. You move at a rapid pace. And so it's very difficult for people to understand who you are. And when people don't understand who you are and they don't want to critically think, they will put a label on you. It just comes with the territory of being a person who is creative, a person who puts yourself out there. If I was a creative and I made content and I never changed and I never grew, I never tried different things, I would not be successful and the content would be stale and boring.